RacerX First Look is brought to you by 6D Helmets, dedicated to the relentless pursuit of better brain protection. Welcome to your First Look. RacerX here. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross is back after a weekend off. We're at Millville, Minnesota. They call it Spring Creek Motocross Park, but let's be honest, everybody just calls it Millville. And we are in the most famous part of this track. Apologies to John and Greta Martin. Mount Martin over there is the second most popular part of this track. The famous sand whoops of Millville, and I'm in no man's land. I'm between the run out and the run back. This is a rider's track all the way. Now I hear that term, rider's track, and then I'm like, what do you mean? All riders ride on all tracks. How can a rider's track? What does that mean? I think what it means is this is a track that all the riders like, and they all feel they can do something special, especially in a section like this, to make up some distance. We're watching amateur competition right now. Hope we're not in this guy's way. No, we're good. And it gives you a little feel for this track. But the other thing that has changed compared to the normal feel is the weather. It's a beautiful day, a perfect day. It's probably like 68 degrees, a little bit of breeze. I'm wearing a flannel, not that heavy, not jacket weather, not toque weather. It is perfect for riding and hanging out today. Come on by, I don't even care, come on by. Ride on through. This is atmosphere for our show. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. You don't need my permission. So the Minnesota folks are used to this kind of thing. They like it, and I think it might lead to better racing. We're not going to be racing against who gets exhausted and tired and so fatigued. It's just going to be an all-out battle of who can handle sections like this best on the track. And after a weekend off, we have to wonder who that's going to be. Going into that very pivotal doubleheader at Redbud, we all knew that that was kind of the Mendoza line, the breaking point for a lot of these riders. Some were going to leave that doubleheader feeling like, man, it's done, it's over, I'm exhausted, I'm burnt, the season's been long, my season's not going well, the points are too far out, and they were going to use the weekend off to just kind of cruise and then cruise through these last four nationals. And there's a couple other riders that certainly have the bit between their teeth and are hoping to make things happen. In the 450 class, I think that would start with Adam Cianciarulo, who got his first ever overall win. Could he close this series with a flurry of victories? He absolutely could. You know he's feeling fresh, he's feeling ready. When we talked to him after the race, he wasn't feeling any fatigue from the Friday Redbud to the Monday, so he's obviously fine. I think if you're Chase Sexton, same thing. He's young, he's a rookie, he's fired up about this 450 experiment for the summer. He's got the wind in his sails. Zach Osborne, well, you know what's on the line for him. Regardless of how many miles he's put in the odometer this year riding and training, this is his chance to become a 450 champ. You know, he's motivated. Marvin Musquin, second in the series. He's motivated to get it. There's a couple other guys we're not so sure about. The Eli Tomac watch continues under a microscope. Is Eli going to bounce back, do Eli things, beast mode it, 1-1 it, get back in this series? Or have we seen like a 1% drop from Eli Tomac? Some of the riders feel that there has been a slight drop from him. We had a press conference earlier this week with Christian Craig, who's had a solid season as Ken Rocks is filling with Honda. And he had a little moral victory for himself. He was able to hold Tomac off down the stretch for sixth in the final moto at Redbud last Monday. And he talked about how hard it was to do that, but also he knows maybe Eli Tomac's not quite the same. Here's Christian Craig's thoughts on what it's like to win a gnarly battle in a second moto.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I think everyone can agree that Eli's not at his best right now. Like, he's unstoppable when he's at his best. So I knew when he was behind me and he really couldn't pass me, I'm like, okay, like, I know he's not his best, but I must be doing pretty well. And I was pretty happy with that. But the last moto on Monday, he was catching me pretty quick. I'm like, all right, he's on his roll. He's going to come to the pack. And he came up on me, and he just couldn't, like, break that 2-second barrier in between us. And it was like that for 4 laps. And I swear we were just, like, neck and neck for the last 4 laps. And I went into the red zone pretty deep with just, like, heart rate and just pushing. So, I mean, it's cool for me, but I need to expect that out of myself more. So that was a good little test right there.
All right, everybody, so you know the score. Eli Tomac, it's all on the line for him. He's 47 points down. He needs to go on a flurry of victories and then hope for some bad luck from Osborne, Cianciarulo, and Musquin to jump them in the points. The bad luck for those guys is absolutely possible. Totally in these last 8 motos, someone could have a bike problem, a first turn crash, and this field is deep enough where even if you're slightly off, you could just finish 7th. We saw Osborne do that at Ironman. But it's all moot for Tomac unless he can go out and win, and we're waiting to see it. Down the stretch, the last 5 minutes of the races where he normally goes into that beast mode, hasn't quite had that this year. Did the weekend off help him, or did the weekend off make him realize, man, this is a long season. I'm Supercross champ. I'll be back stronger next year. Just give me a break. One way to decide it, we'll see it on the racetrack. Now in the 250 class, bit between the teeth, these dudes are super motivated. We know it's the home race for Jeremy Martin. In fact, the house is beyond those trees back there, right? Yeah. That's the house. The Minnesota faithful love it. But considering that, he and Alex have not absolutely dominated this race. They've won some motos here, they've won some overalls here, but they have been beaten. It's only a 12-point lead for Jeremy. He needs to continue to do what he's done. He's won 3 races in a row. Dylan Ferrandis is very fast. Ferrandis can go on a win streak at any time in a race that points lead. So it is absolutely on the line for these guys. There's no fatigue, long season, burned out. Ferrandis dinged up his shoulder. No time to even think about that. He's just going to go out and ride and win. That's going to really make this 250 class pretty exciting, especially with the home track thing. Not the normal sized crowd here, but you know the people that are here are going to be going nuts for Jeremy to get another victory and stretch that points lead. Ferrandis doesn't care if it's a away game for him. Every race is like that. He gets booed at Supercross, doesn't affect the way he rides. He's going to be good regardless. Another rider I want to talk about in the 250s who is motivated, Mitchell Harrison. We talked to him earlier this week. He knows as a pro circuit fill-in time is running out. He feels he needs to be on the podium or winning motos to earn a factory ride in the U.S. again next year. He's very blunt about that. So that's a guy into this last 4 that's super motivated.
I still feel like to be on Monster Energy Pro Circuit, you have to win. And so I think that's going to be what it takes to, be that 5th rider on the team. But, I've turned a lot of people's heads, which I think everybody wrote me off to start the season. So I still got talent. And if there's another spot open, but to be on PC and the factory teams, I need to at least podium and be a contender.
All right, so that's Mitchell Harrison, and this is the famous Chadapult, of course coined with the greatest announcing call I ever made back in 2011 when Chad Reed went flying over that jump and then somehow did not get hurt, and Chad Reed back up and back in this race. Remember what I said about this being a rider's track? Does this dirt right here not make you want to go and rip this track? I mean, this is beautiful. All respect to Redbud, which I think if you took a survey of the pits and the fans, they would say that maybe that's their favorite race. But as far as race track, it would be very hard to beat this place at Minnesota as riders scale their way up to Mount Martin. You got some hard pack, tight, more supercrossy obstacles on that side. You got the sand over here and this wide open section after the first turn. It is such an awesome track, and that's why the riders like it. And again, it might give you that separation where someone who really gets it dialed in today can take advantage of that. That's why it's a rider's track, I think. A few other news and notes I want to mention in the 250 class. First, I would be remiss if I didn't mention also Alex Martin and his potential to win. And there's a bulldozer coming in behind us. Let's see if we have to move. Yeah, we got a shout out from one of the riders on the track while doing the show. This bulldozer's going to fit. Thank you. See how nice they are in Minnesota? They actually turn the bulldozer around your camera. That's good Midwestern people. They're going to shape up the Chadapult. We don't want any more Chadapults. A couple other things to mention in the 250 class besides Alex Martin, certainly a contender. It would be awesome to see him win here at his home race. Ty Masterpool, so spectacular at Redbud. He had a crash late, hurt his other leg, and a last-minute decision. Ty Masterpool will not be racing here. But Jarrett Fry is making his pro debut. He had a torn ACL. He would have started at the beginning of this championship. Fry's now back. So we lose one young Star Racing Yamaha rider. We gain one. And the word was that Nate Thrasher would be making his debut for Troy Lee Design's Red Bull KTM. And just as quickly as he was in, we now hear Thrasher is out. Not sure why yet. He was filling in for Pierce Brown, who had to get knee surgery, and he's out. In the 450 class, bad news. Dean Wilson. I've said this way too many times. Dean Wilson is out for the rest of the summer with a knee injury. Nothing horrible, not an ACL, just a meniscus tear, but it's just enough to cost him the 4 weeks that we have left in his championship. So no Dean Wilson. And I just want to say Blake Baggett's name. No, he's not hurt. He's not missing the race. But you have to say Blake Baggett just in case he pulls off another win, and then no one can say, you guys didn't even mention Blake Baggett. He's always a factor. It has been so fun, the 450 class this year. These motos have been, I argue, the best racing we've ever seen as far as probably 1 through 7 or 8 in a 450 class ever. And I just hope that keeps up. But that weekend off, that is going to be pivotal. Did everyone keep their head in the game? Did some people already start saying, man, we don't normally race into September. I'm over it. I'm burnt. My body's feeling it. Or did they get refreshed and rejuvenated for the stretch run? It's all on the line here at Millville. This is your first look brought to you by 60 Helmets, dedicated to the relentless pursuit of better brain protection. They're going to tune this track up for the pros and give us some great racing on a rider's track tomorrow.